Hi there, this is Paul Thompson from Spitfire Audio. I'm going to give you an overview of our Kickstart Percussion engine today with a particular focus on the update to the Joby Burgess Percussion library, and this is version 5 of this library. I'm going to show you, first of all, we'll get rid of the help bubble. There are help bubbles all over the place in here, so that if you do get stuck, you can always click on the eye and you'll get some more information about the particular section that you're looking at. But I'm going to start with one of the mapped patches, which I'm using the drums high mapped patch, and then I'll show you an unmapped patch and how to map things, and then I'll show you finally a melodic instrument which is set up slightly different so that you can see the differences. So the first thing we're going to do, if you click on this little cog here, you'll see you've got a couple of options here. Close the help bubble, don't show again, don't show anymore, reset the status of all of them. So I'm going to close this one, and then we can see the display quite clearly here. So let's look at this first. So on the left, you've got the usual options in the Spitfire style here. One thing I'll point out to you at the moment, just while we're on this section, is you've got an option here for roll on high velocity. I'm going to temporarily turn that off, but you can see that is an option, so that on the same key that you're playing, if you play the very top velocities, you will get a roll. So that's an option that will be useful from time to time. Now, underneath this, you've got the roll dynamics, you've got release volumes, you've got a variation. Now, this can refer individually with different instruments. This can refer to the swell length or different FX types. And you've got expression, which is a simple volume slider from 0 to 100%. Now, here is the mixer, which we'll have a look at in just a second. On the right-hand side, this is what we call the techniques, hits or techniques panel. And this shows you all of the current instruments available hits or techniques. So if I click on something, for example, the snare, let's close the help bubble again. You can see that you've got a list here of the various techniques that are available for the snare. If I click on the timbales, you get all of the different options for the timbales. You can see in the middle, obviously here that I've just been clicking, you've got all of the silhouettes for the individual instruments. So you select an instrument to operate on by clicking it. You can see that that's targeted and clicked the rototoms. If you want to hold down Command, you can multiple select instruments. So I'll just do that, hold down Command, click the congas, click the timbales, and then although the most recently clicked is the one that appears on the right-hand side here for you to operate on, those are all then active. So let's look at the mixer options now. This has appeared because we've picked an instrument. You'll see that you've got the usual velocity page here, in which you've got a couple of different velocity shapes, and these are useful for tailoring the response. If you've got a different response curve on your controller keyboard, you'll probably find one of those will give you the best results, so it's worth experimenting with that. You've got this one here is the global or per instrument mixer. Now this defaults to global, so you can see these circles are connected here. If I click it again, they separate. So that's so if we go back to the actual mixer by clicking away from the velocity thing. Now if I pull down the tree mic, now we're in global mode, and then I switch to a different instrument, you'll see they're all changed. But if I push that back up again, and then I click to the individual per instrument mixer, I can change the tree mic, I can put a little bit of close into the rototoms, which we're on at the moment. Then I can switch to the congas, and you'll see that has its own mix here. If we go back to the rototoms, that's the rototoms mix, that's the congas mix. So incredibly useful and powerful. You can change the individual mix balance of every single instrument you've got in here. So I'm going to currently, I'm just going to go back to what we had before, and let me just set that back to normal, and then we'll go back to the global mode just for now. So you'll see that obviously everything is now back on global. So the next one along is the collapse area for the close mic signal, And as usual, you can pan the close mic anywhere. You can collapse the stereo width to mono to give you a more precise panning, or you can expand it to a kind of hyper stereo sound. So that's that one. And then in the final section here, which is the little disk icon, floppy disk icon, we've got reset mix settings, copy, paste, load, and save mix presets. So that's a useful little thing as well. Any of these options, you want to get help at any time, you've always got the help bubble here by clicking the little eye, and that will tell you some more information about what you're looking at. So let's close the help bubble there. Now let's look on the right hand side, the panel showing the mapped hits. So if we look at, let's look at the rototoms. That's quite a good place to start. You can see that in this instrument NKI, we've gone through and mapped a load of these by default, but you can change these easily. So let's say we want this rototom 5 to be somewhere else. We can drag that. If I just change the octave display of the keyboard. So let's say I want to put that up here somewhere. That's no problem. I can move that around by clicking and dragging up and down. You can also click on that and then click on a note to change the mapping on your keyboard. So that's now mapped it to D6. So I'll drag it back down to the G5. So you can also click the little cog icon here, and this gives you some configuration options. And amongst, that's also described again in the help bubble here, but amongst these things are 2-finger mapping, which as you see adds an extra note to the right hand side. And also you can change the number of round robins on this particular articulation or this particular key. You can also purge this instrument here by clicking the memory chip icon, or you can purge the whole of this instrument, the whole of the rototom, by clicking the master memory icon at the top, and you'll see that causes those to disappear and the memory here to change. So that gives you an overview of the instrument there, the instrument panel. Let's look at an unmapped instrument and we will see how you map it. So we're going to go into the unmapped ensembles. We'll drag again the drums high patch in, and you'll see, if I just shut down the help bubble, you'll see that we've got here, everything is unmapped. They're all grayed out. It's simply a case, for example, if we take this snare, we select the hit that we want to map and we press a key on the keyboard as I did before. So let's put that on C2. It comes up automatically as 2-finger mapping, which is most useful. And then we obviously, if we want to put the edge down here, and again we can put the rim shot next. So this is the way to just quickly map out exactly what you want, where you want it. If we, just to show you, we can put the rototoms. If I want to make something literally right next to where I've got to, if I want to line up all the instruments that I want to use within, an octave or an octave and a half or whatever. The low roto, put a bit of close mic in. So it's incredibly straightforward and easy to map this stuff out. There's also, if we go back to the snare, you'll have noticed here there's a what we call a stick type variation. Now for this, you'll see that there is, if I click on here, you'll see another little explanation from the help bubble. There's snare on and snare off, and then we have an option to set a variation key switch. So if we switch this on and then drag it up, just so we can see what we're doing, up to here. So it's just below where I'm playing the actual snare itself here. But what you'll notice is that 2 key switches are attached to this. So the set variation gives you the lowest, because there might in some cases be more than 2 variations available. In this case, there's just snare on and snare off. But that gives you the starting note for your variation key switches. So if I just play and then switch between them, you'll see. So you see that it's incredibly easy to just whack these variations in and just start working. Again, very configurable. You can also just ignore having a key switch for it and just click this to see what's available and just click the one that you want. And now we have just the one that you want. So this differs between instruments. Some have actual different sticks, such as, hard sticks, soft mallets, felts, whatever. Some have different options. For example, with some of the toy instruments, you might get a variation between glass and plastic and things like that. So let's have a look at a melodic instrument now. So I'm going to load the glockenspiel. And we'll again hide the help bubble for now. I'll set up a mic mix. Now you'll see that on the right hand side here, instead of the mapping, we have articulations. So we can look at these. We can click between them. And then we've got hard sticks. And then we've also got rolls. So looking at these articulations, we can assign these to a set of key switches, which allows you to switch on the keyboard as before. So if we drag that up, again to the same kind of place, you can switch between them and you can see them changing there. So that's quite nice, quite intuitive. Or you can just, if you just want to set it and go, you can just click to the one that you want and just start playing. It's useful to show the roll on the highest velocity option here. So if the roll, obviously the dynamics are controlled by the mod wheel as before. Again, like all of our controls, you can unlearn the mod wheel automation and set it to something else if you prefer. But if we look at this now, if I just play a couple of notes with a really high velocity as well. Now if I want to play something with the roll on the highest velocity, so you can hear there, I'm just kind of messing around, but you can hear that it's pretty easy to kind of learn how hard you need to hit it to get the high velocity. Sometimes this isn't going to work for you because you want to specifically split out the roll somewhere else in order to be able to whack the keyboard really hard when you're in the mood to get the really hardest temp hit or whatever, that kind of thing. So sometimes that'll work and sometimes it won't work your workflow for that particular moment. So I think you'll see and agree that this is a really intuitive and yet really powerful system, and a great way to get a ton more value out of these samples. It really kind of refreshes this library and makes it a whole load more usable than it was in the last iteration. And again, always click the eye to have a little bit of information about anything that you're looking at. It's a kind of self-serve help system, really makes it nice and easy to use. So it's worth mentioning that this Kickstart engine, it's also in, our Hans Zimmer O2 library with Jason Bonham, and it's also in the Grange library that we just released. So you've got the Kickstart is a new interface, but it's an interface that we are keeping consistent across all of these kind of drum products. And so once you've learned how to use it once, you won't have to learn how to use it again. And keep the comments coming back in. Let us know how you're getting on with this. But it's very exciting. It'll take you a little bit of time to integrate these new patches into your current setup, but I think it'll be worth the effort and really bring a new lease of life to this fantastic library. So thanks very much for watching this walkthrough, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye-bye.